All right. Here with reaction to the rallies across the country today, as well as all of the other developing stories this week, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. All right, good evening, Hogan. We saw a lot of young kids out there today marching, protesting. They want gun control. What does the president think of all this, and what is this administration going to do?
Well, first of all, it's a school safety march is what we were told, right? Not a gun control march. But
well, I guess it's called March for Our Lives.
Right, absolutely. I saw some of the signage out there. I looked on Twitter. I was around some of the protesters. I saw their signs. Clearly a gun control march, not a school safety march. That being said, the president obviously respects the First Amendment, but he also respects the Second. One of the things, the significant victories actually in this omnibus package were two pieces of legislation, the Fix NICS piece of legislation, also the Stop School Violence Act. Both of those were funded under this bill. As you know, and you've chronicled extremely well in your show, with the Parkland shooting, a systematic failure at the local, the state, and the federal levels of government. These two pieces of legislation in the omnibus work to shore up some of the problems because there is no conversation, no communication between the local level and the federal level as it relates to background checks. These close these loopholes and hopefully will prevent people from ever getting a firearm who don't need to have a firearm again.
Okay. Now, the president, as I just said in my open, signed a $1.3 trillion spending bill after threatening to veto it. And he was very clear. He said, I will never sign a bill like this again. He even threatened to veto it. He didn't want to sign it, so why did he?
Well, he signed it because it fulfills one of the campaign promises he made while on the campaign trail, which, as you know, was to rebuild the military. You articulated it beautifully in the open, which was Barack Obama dismantled what we had as far as protection in this country. The number one job of the federal government is to protect the American people. They weren't building new equipment under Barack Obama. They were rebuilding and fixing old, broken down equipment. This bill goes to rebuild our military. It actually gives the largest pay raise to our troops, who well deserve that for the first time in about 10 years. There were some significant victories here. And the wall, as you mentioned, it wasn't everything we wanted, but there are political realities that exist in this town. We have to have 60 votes to pass a funding bill in the Senate. The Republicans don't have that. The president looked at it and said, I want to rebuild the military. The Democrats said, fine, you rebuild the military. We're going to hold the military hostage. Every dollar you tell me you want for the military, we insist on basically a dollar for dollar exchange for our pet projects here at home. The president didn't want to do it, but the president did it because rebuilding the military, protecting this nation is his first and foremost job.
And, you know, for the viewers out there saying to themselves, well, you know, she just said we have the House and the Senate and the Oval. The truth is the rules, you know, you need to have 60. And, you know, we don't have a line-by-line veto, as the president indicated yesterday, because the Supreme Court has said it's unconstitutional and we would need a constitutional amendment.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. And that's the political reality I alluded to earlier. You can't just come in and govern by fiat. You've got to get things accomplished. And the problem is when you have Democrats in the Senate who used to be for border control, they used to be for security, they used to be for the military, used to be for tax cuts and jobs, used to be for manufacturing, and for whatever reason, they've turned away from that. Look, you talked about the wall earlier, I just talked about it now. The fact of the matter is, this problem with immigration has gotten worse since the Democrats used to be for it. The only thing that's changed in the last 10 years with immigration and border security is the problem's worse and Donald Trump's in the White House, which tells me it's purely political for them. They didn't want DACA at all.
Right.
You saw what the president...
It's amazing.
You couldn't believe what the president offered them on the table. Three times what Obama wanted. Right, and they still didn't want it. It shows they want it as a political football. They're playing politics with people's lives. It's grotesque.
All right. Hogan Gidley, thanks so much for being with us tonight.